What is day?
How was yours?
I had 0 trades.
It's okay.
I didn't get trade much today at all. Seems like it was based on the profile that I'm seeing. It seems like it was pretty eventful twice. Other times it was just wicking here. But did you guys catch at least decent moves between the value area lows and retests? That was the 92 was working the whole day.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
Shorty, you're not sharing.
There we go. So earlier in the morning, we tried to short the 85 here, and that was a loss. And then here, some of you guys probably caught this. I did not catch this here. But overall, I think if you caught this one and then you saw them reclaim the PD value area low here, I think you probably had a good chance to make some decent money from here, you know, on the run up. But that's if you're expecting it to hold the value area low and trust in it. Okay. But other than that, do you guys notice something happening different here in at least, let's say, a couple of days from volume profile perspective? Anyone seeing anything?
I mean, we had P's and now we have D's.
Yep. So just pay attention to this here also. Remember, market goes balance, imbalance. Let me just extend this. Sure, low is fine. So if you look at this, right, you can tell the market is imbalanced so far. They here, they brought it back inside. They brought the average down here, but they're still within the balance and the range of each day, right? And then usually they have a pop the third or the fourth day. So what does this represent in terms of all your profiles? You have a balance, you have a new balance. What would you expect to see between these days here?
You'd want to see P shapes since it's moving up at least.
Well, if I was to select cumulative now from here to, let's say, here,
Retest 13.
when value areas are progressing, do you want more volume or less?
More.
You want more volume, right? And you can tell just on this profile so far that the volume is progressing up. Do you guys agree?
Yep.
We had a consolidation here, right? We pop higher, right? There's your imbalance candle, right? So if you think of Wyckoff or whatever you want to use, if this is your, let's make it yellow. If this is your imbalance, well then they came back. What did they do here?
They retested the breakout.
They retested the range to make sure the buyers were there, and look, they popped, they made a higher low, right? And now you're in balance again. So now, you know, this level 43, there's one reason I don't like this level as a support. And I'll get into that in a second. But this is the new area now. This is the new value area. This is where they're basically happy trading till they're not. Whether it's the news here, they didn't like it much, right? Twice. And then all of a sudden they like it now. So something changed in the market, right? Or the liquidity pools are better at this level. So they push the price. So now if they come back, you're looking for a retest, right? And I would not trust this level. Does anyone know why? If I move this little box, there's 2 peaks here. Why do you guys don't think that I would not use this as support resistance here? Like a flip, right? Anyone?
Seems to be a gap.
It didn't act as support.
Because it rejected.
Well, it's acting as resistance, but it doesn't act as support.
Why would you? I mean, besides here, but if you get a bigger retest.
But you don't have a shelf. You don't have enough volume supporting that.
You don't have a shelf, but remember, this was a strong high both times they hit here, but it also hit during after hours. So the volume is not there, and that's what Bean just nailed. There's nothing there. It's a fake resistance. This was guaranteed to break, right? This was almost like, hey, let's go buy more liquidity, make them think, and then we're gonna slice through this wall. And there was nothing here. They just gapped it up. And look, it's almost like you have a triple distribution, right? The correction will need to happen here. So if you lose this, you're coming here. That's a big fix. Most likely you get a bounce for that reason. They're short here, recover here, fix this profile in here. And then, if they decide to break the, let's say the new node or lower nodes, you look for the next liquidity and they will give you a retest depending on how quickly you trade, right? So if this profile is since May 24th. So, you have a couple of days. So this doesn't mean should I play this retest? If I want the trade to work out, should I do this trade on a 0 DTE as a 10-minute trade?
No.
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 Most likely the answer is no, because I'm grabbing a couple of almost 2 weeks, right? I would say 3, 5, almost 2 weeks worth of data I'm grabbing here. And I'm expecting it to work out in my span of 20 seconds. If you're going to do that, right, if you're going to, expect this to work out, well, then you need to confirm that with the daily sessions, right? Whether it's a profile from a day prior, max 2 days, you use and analyze the data, right? Then you can trade those quick moves and you become a true scalper, right? A little bit more intermediate when you grab 2 weeks because you need to buy some time for it to work. Most likely it can dip to this shelf and then go higher, but you should have appropriate stop loss, right? If I'm, going long here, I don't think I would put it right before the shelf. I would use the bottom of it to let the other guys fight for me and defend the level instead of me being the front runner. Does that make sense? Especially for new
Yeah.
folks. You use the shelves to defend yourself, right? If I'm long on this retest, let's say tomorrow, like we have to break this level 4301 tomorrow. If we do break that level, then if it's coming back, I would say that's a good buy. You're trending up, and that's a good setup. But some of you guys, when I look at your, some of you that still keep the profits and the journals updated, you can tell your progression. I can name a handful of people in the Discord that progressed really well because I have a picture of how they started, right? I know a handful that started with negative accounts and just blowing up till slowly they're like, hey, Shorty, I got 3 days out of 5 green. Then they fix it and then they lose it and then they get mad and then they hit a streak of like 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
But the frequency of them falling back into the really, really bad habits minimizes because they see it in the journal. And most of you guys that don't journal, you don't see that progression. So you don't ever have confidence and you're not building a habit of patience. You can ask any person that makes money trading on a call or your friends or whoever. If you're not patient enough and you don't let the setup come to you instead of you chasing and not knowing, you will not be long before you're on the sidelines. Like you will not have the capital to do this.
Yep.
So the point is you have to start journaling a little bit. And the person that was involved today in talking, I asked him for a journal. He said, "I'll be honest, I haven't journaled, but I need help." How do I know what you're doing? How can I tell? You got to be able to repeat the process that you took, why you took it, so you can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, all of you, the gratification that you guys want, you want to learn something in a month to pay you for your lifetime. Good luck. Think about it. That risk to reward is impossible. Nothing pays that fast. Doesn't pay back that fast. So if you think you can do it, well, kudos to you, man. or lady. It's impossible to learn this. It's actually never stops. You're learning constantly and adapting. But once you figure it out, how to make money, and your adaptation to it is small. But if you're constantly chasing, let me try this EMA with this VWAP and this trend line and this arrow and this algo, the more you add pieces of information like that, the less likely you're going to have your own strategy and how to trade. And I would say that's the most important. If you're trading accumulation zones and setups and volume profile, I mean, you're going to have, and let's say you're intermediate trader, like you're not a scalper, you're not in and out, you're going to have a lot more patience in the market like this right now, because you're not getting a lot of moves. There's not a lot of volatility, so the moves are tiny and the risk reward are tiny too. So this one requires a lot of precision on trading, especially when you're in a range. I don't know, like today, 17, 20 points, whatever that was. So you have to know the market. You have to learn the type of the market, right, that we have, the volume profile and opening types, type of day. Once all that information becomes natural to you, when you look at a chart that you can scan and kind of figure it out in a split of a second, right? Oh, we opened high, the balance is not wide, it's tight, I'm expecting a break. If you're expecting a break on a narrow base, unless you're scalping momentum, you're not buying the first breakout. There's no reason to. If they create an imbalance there on volume and liquidity, they're going to pop from there. Most likely, the liquidity is going to have to be filled. They're going to come back, fill it, and then proceed, whether it's higher or lower. But a lot of you guys are just, I think you want instant money to start growing, and some people post their profits, and you immediately want the profits of a person like Knowledge Seeker. I mean, for instance, that guy, he probably put in 15 hours a day when he joined. Books after books, I couldn't even finish, telling him about the book, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I read that one. I took notes," and he shows the notes, and it's discipline, right? He broke it down to the structures that he understands and took off, right? Well, a lot of you guys don't wanna put anything in it, but you wanna get a lot out of it. And if there's a job like that does that, where you do minimal and get paid a lot, besides CEO roles, politicians, yeah, there you go. You're not gonna. Your mindset has to change and has to be a realistic trade, right? I mean, some of you guys have expectations. Yeah, I'll take 1,000, to a couple of million into a couple of years. No, it takes discipline. Sure, can you do it if you have a perfect day every day, compound 2-3%? Yeah, that's doable. Daily, that you'd make a couple of million in a couple of years from $1,000. But not every day is a winning day, and it doesn't need to be. It's about the probabilities of your setup and your patience. Probably today, people on this call saw the setup, but they took something else because they didn't wait for the setup. Did anyone experience that?
Yep.
And that's because you probably don't journal well enough, or you don't have the confidence in your own system yet. And I know, Dumpster, his levels are probably more accurate than mine. I'm not even lying. He's really accurate, but he never takes the trades that he got better, but he did not take the trades that he said he would take. Instead, he'll move the stop loss so close because you're afraid of losing money, right? So you don't want to risk a lot, but you want to make a lot. Those probabilities are rare, right? Where you, unless you're adding a lot more risk swinging on options, right? But those opportunities to double your money every day, or maybe with C Blast on his Discord, but I haven't seen it anywhere. It's impossible to do that. When you think about Caddy, what's the ARC, right? What's her name? Wood? Kathy Wood, yeah. I mean, wasn't she regarded as one of the better investors 3 years ago? It wasn't like money flying into her fund.
In the bull market, everyone is.
Well, no, but I mean, she was on the news as the best returns over, 100%. But just look at her recent trades as a hedge fund manager, as she is. Look at her returns lately. She sells Nvidia right before a $300 ripper. And she sold a lot of stocks at the wrong times. I mean, she still has T-Doc. Right. And that's where you get, cocky and a little bit of an ego, right? And you're like, hey, I'm Cathy Wood. I don't want to be wrong publicly, so we're gonna keep buying T-Doc. I know, and she's still buying it. And I don't know if it's making progress, but she can afford to do that because she has capital, right, pushing right down her back. But some of you're stealing from your left pocket, and then trying to add a little bit to it, but exposing it so much that you're never gonna get it back because you're not managing the risk or the reward properly. And this trading, I mean, everything is about probabilities. Even every day that you trade in a setup, you don't know where the market's going. You think you know based on your setup. And a lot of you guys put so much pressure that you have to be right on the setup that if you're wrong, it's almost like, oh man, like it's horrible. No. The setups and probabilities, once you set them up and you define your rules around it, the setups will be there. You're going to get your opportunities. Right? As long as the risk and reward are good, you're going to win more than lose. And you manage the risk properly. Aim for 3-1. Oh man, that'd be great. You can lose 3 trades and win 1, you're break even. And once you lose the sight of that, the risk, reward, and the value of whatever you're getting, yeah, it becomes very, very difficult to get out of that because then you're constantly chasing you go in a trade and first thought in your head is, what if I lose the money? And what do you think happens the next second?
Revenge trading.
No, you lost that money that you're debating whether it was you get in and you're not sure, you don't have the confidence in the setup. It shows, right? You're gonna fall into the trap where you're doubting yourself, and then you're gonna revenge trade right after that because you're like, oh man, I should have went long here. Let me short. You reverse your positions, and whatever you do, it seems like the market's playing against you. Most of you have experienced that. Like you go long, it goes down. You go short, and it goes up. And you've done it in a day, but maybe you don't remember it. You've executed these trades that way. It was just mindless trading.
No, I'll never forget that I did it 3 times in a row. Like long, the market went down, short, the market went up, long, it went down again. I was like, oh, screw you.
Yeah. And then you start feeling the market's picking on you and doing something against you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in the trading in the zone, it's really not the market. You just gotta accept it. You're not flowing with the market. You're fighting the market.
Yeah, it definitely felt personal.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, go play in, I don't know, man. Like any game in casino that has decent probabilities or whatever, right? Eventually, you have a chance to win 1 or 2, but you hit as a trader 3 to 5 in a row, and you're negative. Meaning you're not right. It hurts the ego a little bit. And professional traders step away. They will step away usually after 2 trades. 2 trades go bad, you step away a little bit. You don't trade, or you take, you have a 5-hour cool off or 3-hour cool off, depending when in the market, when in the day you trade it. But most of you guys have some rules, but you don't really have the rules. Rules are not there to make you the disciplined trader, right? And honestly, it needs to become a natural habit to trade that. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, that's good. You don't do that. I mean, if the stove is hot and I tell you put your hand on there, most of you guys, should be smart enough to say, hey, no, I'm not going to do that. Because there's a consequence, right? But when you trade and you're not being honest with yourself or maybe with your significant others, you're promising something that's not coming together, but you keep doing the same shit that you did to lose the money the first time. and you're not willing to change, and you're just kind of digging that hole a little bit deeper, right? So instead of digging that hole a little bit deeper, just change some, how you think of yourself first. This is not a hobby for you, and it shouldn't be a hobby. If it is a hobby, then you're addicted to trading, right? I mean, this is a job. You have to treat it as a job, and you have to define, your identity as a trader, and then start believing in that as well. A lot of you guys, have a goal of $100, $200. Those goals are good, but they should not be the driving goals behind it, right? You should be aiming to be a professional trader, and everything that involves professional trader, you will define those rules as you go. Some of the guys that, that I worked with here, more so than others, I would say, just because their requests for one-on-one were pretty frequent. But they define the rules for themselves, and then they break the rule, right? But they're able to identify that, and it doesn't take them the lapse of 15 days to realize that. They will wake up immediately from it. Instead of some of you guys, you just dig. Let me go bigger and deeper because I want to be right. It's not about right or wrong. It's your setup that will define and work every time. You're playing the probabilities game. This is kind of like lottery, right? But you're adding the odds to your favor, right? By having a setup, by having an edge to playing. It's kind of like blackjack. If you've never played blackjack, how long do you think you'll last on a table?
It's a couple seconds. If you hit on the wrong number, that's for damn sure. And you can screw the whole table up.
Oh, exactly. You do that a couple of times, then the table, probably a few good guys will get up if you're not following the rules, right? If you
Right.
play blackjack and you do some weird shit when you get 16 and there's 5 people on the table, then somebody's going to give you a weird look,
Yeah.
Or
Because
talk
they're,
ish to you too.
of course, yeah. I mean, it's money. And it's same here. What is your setup? And you play the setup. What Drew sees and what I see doesn't have to be identical. I don't expect it to be. Did I ever tell you, Drew, that you have to trade the same way I do?
No, not at all. You told me to find my own trading style.
You have to find that, right? He incorporated Bookmap. I don't use Bookmap, but that doesn't make, I'm happy that he found his own style and that he can do it. A lot of you guys want to mimic and replicate, right? Oh, he did this, I'll do the identical. No, it doesn't work that way. That means you don't understand it. If you can't create your own, you don't understand it well enough.
Yes, is retesting the previous day POC here.
Yeah, I just saw. Sorry, I saw Kindle growing a little bit bigger. I was like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah, it looks like it wants to do the 80% rule right now overnight.
Oh man, that'll be. Well, what is that? 10 points. Yeah. Not bad. I mean, if they give you that, I would go in 5 minutes to trade that.
Oh wow, are they gonna retest the previous day value area high?
No, I doubt it. They have the Friday or this Monday POCs here too. So on the psychology side, hopefully I know I can hit you with a lot of these that the mistakes that you make, but me making you feel bad for every one of them is not really gonna make you a better trader. You have to realize that if you're taking money from yourself and your family and whatever scenario you're in, you're just cheating yourself without really improving. You're no better than our government with a debt limit, right? Oh, it's bad. Well, yeah, just keep spending. And it's same with yourself, right? I mean, you can't just keep throwing money if you're not changing. If you get anything out of tonight's session, start fucking journaling. Start journaling and you'll realize slowly the difference. Hey, I took this trade go on a chart, really try to replicate your thought process. Why did you take the trade at that time? And see if you can be like, oh man, I see why it would work and why it didn't work. If it's easy to see why it didn't work, then you can adjust. But if it's hard, then either your strategy is missing something, right? Or you need to tweak something else somewhere, right? To get it to work. But how will you know what you need to tweak if you're, I mean, just like a chicken walking without a clue what the hell's going on when you trade?
I would also add, like, look at yourself and ask yourself how much work you're actually putting in. You know, like Shorty mentioned, knowledge seeker. Same with me. I was studying and staring at screens, 12 to 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then working over the weekend so that I could keep doing it during the week.
And when it clicked, I remember the day when he you sent me a message, and I said, I think it finally clicked. And we met 2 weeks prior to that, I believe. No, 3 weeks prior to that.
Yeah.
When we had the 101.
Mm-hmm.
We met, we shifted some stuff, and he shifted it. I mean, I just gave him an idea, but I would say he took it upon himself. And then, a couple of weeks later, he's like, Shorty, something clicked. And did I ever ask you to explain to me what you trade?
No.
Guys, I don't care. I don't want to challenge you with my own strategy with yours. If it works for you, you keep doing that. And if you can help somebody along the way, not to replicate your idea, but kind of how you derive to your own, I think it will really help the community. Like, you'll get actually more traders that are successful, and you'll build that environment, because majority of the traders on Twitter, I would say, even the people that educate, are probably not profitable.
And then just so people know, what clicked was finally following at least 2 reward for every 1 risk minimum.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's what finally clicked.
And just think later on, let's say you're like, I'll trade futures and options. If you get so good at trusting that 3-to-1 and letting it execute to the 3, meaning you let the trade play out, how many times have you guys seen your SPX option go from $1 to like 7? Like, I've seen them go from $1 to 48.
Yep.
But you got out in 320, right? And you're like, oh, that was good money, right? 220, that's pretty good. $220 and what, maybe sometimes 10 seconds.
Or got stopped out at a loss.
Well, yeah, my point is that now you threw me off.
I'm sorry.
You lost the train of thought.
You got up too early. Always too early.
Exactly. You will see your target, but you get out early. Where the futures help is with the theta burn and stuff like that, IVs. It doesn't really play a role. You have to be directionally correct, right? Time is important as well, but directionally you have to be correct when trading futures and options. The reward is there, right? It's much better, I would say, than futures, because you have the opportunity to go 100, 200% on a, today, ES moved, I don't know, like 6 points, and the contract will pop like $100 or so. And think about it, where's VIX right now?
It's dead.
Pretty
13 something.
Yeah. So
It's
what does that
low.
tell you on the contracts, guys?
somewhat cheaper.
No
Well,
volatility.
they're actually really, really cheap.
Daily looks awful.
They're cheaper, and a little bit of risk somewhere to spike the VIX. Once people are loaded on a call side or a put side, and they see continuous buying, let's say that they see they're buying calls at the top. I mean, they can push the market. They can, if people start selling calls at the top and they increase the IV, what happens there? And they drop the market. How many calls have you guys seen being bought lately, like past 4 or 5 days? Is it bullish or bearish?
Pretty bullish, the net flow.
Yeah, more bullish.
It's very bullish, right? So what a better way to make money as a market maker than create that bullish environment, sell as many calls as you can, right? And then drop it and increase the IV. I mean, these people are gonna be a toast. Just even if the price is gonna go in their direction, there's a chance they will not recover. In both ways, where they tone it down or up, they're gonna manipulate it really bad before this giant move plays out. Because I don't even think that, when you look at these dailies, that this move that we've had here, guys, this should have been more aggressive here. We've consolidated for such a long period of time, and this is all we got. Let's say 4,200, we got 91 points out of this breakout. Does that make sense?
No, that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, you had candles that did 80 points in a day here, and now you're telling me in, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, you moved 90 points.
On decreasing volume too.
Yeah, something just doesn't add up. But even the sellers are not present. When you look at this daily candle, if this volume was, much higher, then we would know that they had liquidity and they're able to sell it. Because remember, if there's a lot of peanut butter at the price level, the buyers might might get a little exhausted. But that level seems not to be here yet. When you look at the volume, it seems like they still want to push higher. They're moving it on fluff volume, but there's no sellers. So that's why they're able to move it now. Right? The aggressiveness of sellers is they're moving their price target higher because they're seeing that there's some demand. And as long as JPM and other banks are upgrading Apple to 193 or 195 from these 160s, 170s, they're gonna get more people excited. Before 2 weeks ago, how many upgrades did you guys see in the market?
Big guys are bearish.
I mean, there was not much upgrades, guys, that I saw constantly. And then all this news recently, they flooded all these upgrades by JPM, all these different banks on Apple, Nvidia. They're telling you now when the price is reached of their initial target at 390, for instance, or we're gonna move the target now to 425. Why would it make sense for them? If they're honest with you guys and they're like, yeah, we really, yeah, we believe this is gonna be a 425 stock. Do you really think they would tell you first? Guys, they're in it to make money. They bought a long time ago, right? Now, as they progress to the PR and getting people excited and FOMO, you're entering a cycle. They're gonna offload their inventory soon, and they're selling on every one of these moves because you're getting these wicks as well. They're selling, but not aggressively. They're testing the waters to see if they can maximize their profits now. They're seeing, it's working, whatever they sent, right? Manipulations, news, where is it gonna stop? And, we have an idea using volume profile where that level is, right? But do I know for sure where it's gonna stop? No. Can I increase the odds of being right where they might stop? Yeah. And those are the odds that I play. And you guys should play your own odds and have your own risk reward. And let it be more than 2 to 1 when you start. And you don't need to trade 1 ES, 10 ES. Trade one micro contract if you're trading futures. If you're trading options, trade one contract on SPY, play, one strike out. And if, depending on your account, go 20% on one option trade and play it. Play small. Do it 30 days. Can you just repeat the same setup that you see? Do it for 30 days and document it. and you'll see that that eventually it'll make a difference. You're going to notice it. When you do this, there's a positive reinforcement. When you do this, it's fairly negative. And negative reinforcements, you know, they're not bad, but some of you guys don't believe in them because you blow up your account, then you load your account again, then you blow it up again, doing the same shit that you did the first time. So when you do that, it's really pointless. Then you're just cheating. But you know, I'm not trying to use you, but thanks for the liquidity. I guess I don't know what to tell you. Not sure why you can't adapt. Market's not very complex. Once you understand the volume profile, and you know, there's people in this Discord that they changed how they trade. They're able to see the volume and how the auction works, how it moves. Instead of the price, it's really just it's a mechanism of auction that's just up, down, up, down. But you guys' behavior, and somebody asked, hey, what's a good class to take if I'm in college? I said behavioral finance. It's a very good, you know, class to take. If you want to become a trader, it's not about knowing everything in the market. It's about being disciplined and knowing your setups to take with the probability on your side. And a lot of you guys do the opposite and don't do any changes, but expect better results. And it's usually called, you know, craziness. So I would simplify, you know, what you're seeing if you're new to Discord, or if you're struggling. You know, a lot of times when I have one-on-ones, I ask you guys to, you know, remove everything that you see on your chart, right? You can start with blank slate. You don't need anything, right? You can remove all of the lines, but in this case, I won't. Remove everything, just trade the naked chart, right? Naked chart. You see that you have the tops, the bottoms, you're ranging here. And, you know, if you've been long enough in the Discord, if you read the PowerPoint, if not, attend Sunday, so you can understand you're trading a range, you're buying the bottom, selling the tops. And I know it sounds easy, but once you start believing in it, it really works. And it works on smaller time frames. It just depends what time frame trader you are. Here's another consolidation here. This line and here, look. Tighter range, tighter risk, tighter reward, right? And some of you guys are like, okay, well, I think he'll break out. I bought the bottom, but I think he'll break out, and then it comes back here, and then you sell. Has anyone ever done that?
Definitely.
It's because you're not respecting what you're seeing, right? You're seeing it's consolidated or a bracketed market. They're telling you we're happy trading in here. So in that case, if you short the top 50%, or POC is your takeoff first, and then the bottom. If you want to get more complex and technical, then you can draw the POC inside, figure out where's your 68%, right? Where's your first, sixth, second, third, and you play between those levels. Then you're adding a little bit more details to your trading. So another decision has to be made when you're trading. That makes sense.
Shorty, I kind of have a question because I've been trying to do that recently with the fibs, and with the golden pocket. Do you kind of look at it in a way as kind of like a zone where, let's say, we're dropping, and you're thinking it's going to come back and it's bullish? Do you like to see that be a case of it automatically? Well, not automatically, I guess, like consolidating, or do you like it to drop below and then get regained? Like, which do you think?
I prefer, for me initially, if it's like not a tested level, if it hasn't been retested on the first bounce. And that's, if we're trending up in a day and I'm seeing a consolidation and comes back to that level, if it's not been tested, I'll take it the first time. Okay. If it's been tested and you don't get these orders that are aggressive, because remember, when you touch a level, what needs to happen in an auction for price to go?
You need to have buyers.
Well, you always have buyers, but you need aggressive buyers.
Aggressive, yes. I'm sorry.
If somebody's auctioning and they're like 42.79 and they're like, yep, here, 47.50, they go 50. Okay, well, 60, 70, and the buyers are bidding. That means they're chasing the price because it's getting away from them. And that price needs to be quick and reactive. If you hit a level, then you know the buyers were fairly aggressive there.
Okay.
Because the auction, it should not drop below for them to find value if that level has shown to be really critical. That's why it's never like a single level, I would say. You know, you draw a volume profile, for instance, you know, on the POC here. I can't treat this as a single level, at least not when I trade. For me, this becomes almost like a low zone here, right? And this is what I would say, hey, this is PD POC. You break this, you hold, retest go low, you get the 80% down. And right now, you know, you have one, I would say, candle here below. You have a couple of them below the PD value area high. So it's setting up. Would I short here and or wait for the retest? I would take the first retest here if this was to happen. Let's say it pops now, it's gonna go. If it comes back here and does this, you take a first retest for this. There's no reason to wait. But if you're trading 1 minute, it becomes very difficult to hold, you know, a trade based on your risk reward. You know, go 5 minutes and, you know, even 10 if you're watching for something like that and see if it does. I mean, here, would you count these candles as close below?
Mm,
No, because there's no
No.
continuation, not even a step down from initial one peaked, and I can't count that candle. Give me a couple of candles here, create an imbalance, and then come back. I short it first time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks, Shorty.
But here, I mean, we're, you know, we kind of look today the same way we all opened, right? We were kind of opening in a similar area, but dropped a little bit. Right now, they're stacking the POC to be higher than, you know, the close here. They're trying to say, hey, we believe the value is higher. They shifted it, right? And they kind of rejected it from this level here, right? So if you look at this, you're almost in, I would say, a 3-day balance, right? This is your low of the balance, and then your high is right here. If you're able to break above this value area here and you retest it, what should you do then?
We should be long biased then if
Yeah,
if they
your
will.
long bias, you know, is here. And let's say you're trading 5 minutes here, you pop above, you come back, you play the 5-minute candles and 5-minute profiles, whatever that profile is there that's created, right? And you see them now, they're respecting this level here. They're not letting it drop, almost like a tweezer bottom. They're most likely coming back to this 92 again. They did it today a couple of times. And if we lose this POC, you know, let them drop to this shelf here. They'll bounce, and then you take a first short, and this becomes a lot more than 80% probability. Because now you're, you know, you're below the POC. You're not taking it inside. Have to deal with the POC as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my long bias, if I'm looking for a break retest strategy, it would be here. If you like to play for 5 points between these, you could probably do that, but just know that this high right here, the PDH, is right at, you know, the high here. They tested the liquidity, you know, they had a couple of candles close. So now they really need to continue with, you know, continue with the break of structure here. You continue, you break, you come here, and then you have the opportunity to play 305. If you want to play this, that's about 10 points. So that would be my long bias here. And then if you guys look on a bearish side, I would say we have to lose the 65. It's for shorting purposes here, anywhere. You have to lose 65. If you want to short between the levels, you can do that, right? But you have to understand you're not doing it for hoping for a breakout at these levels. You're closing your trades at these levels. You're not being greedy. You're saying you're doing what you're supposed to do. You take it off. If it breaks and goes lower, you did your trade, you executed well, the plan was there. Most of you just go regretting, oh my God, it went down. I would have made this or that. So what? You just need to get over the fact that you probably made somebody's, 2-3 day salary in a trade. And I just don't get some of you guys make $300 in a trade and you want more. If you're learning and you're making $300, just think about it. And you're still not on the, on the mental side there on trading. $300 multiplied by 5 is pretty good money in this day and age, especially if you're younger. And if you have a job and you add $1,500 a week, multiply that by how many weeks? 52. That's quite an increase on your salary. If you don't believe me, seriously, just go to your boss and ask him for like 55K raise right now. Just let me know how it goes. They will say, "Are you crazy?" Like you will get a random drug test because it does not happen, right? But you're not happy with your own progress and investment in yourself, making $1,500 a week. It's a good start to do that because once you're able to make 55, then it becomes hundreds, but the process remains the same. As soon as you deviate from it, that's where you're gonna lose. You adapt it, but you should not deviate from it. Okay. So if it breaks short PDPOC, you could catch this for 80%. They might give you a little heart attack at this trend line because they're creating some, but most likely they would break and they would speed up here, probably even to next liquidities here. There's a shelf and a gap here. So they would probably try to do the gap protection at this level here. And this was a fairly important level today all day. Okay. And then just zoom out a little bit, right? When you're looking at this, like if I was to look at this whole run here that we're seeing, so let me hide this. Can anyone formulate an opinion on this, like whole action? Like, why did we move the way we did? Right? We have the volume. Is it justified? Are the volume progressing on the value areas? How's the volume looking through progressions? First check, you analyze it, right? From this value area, you shift it to this one, right? There's a bigger shelf and bigger liquidity created and you went higher, but then you're checking for the daily volume to see if it agrees with that. You did a lot of volume trading at this price, but was there volume on that? Day to day was there volume. And then you see, here, some buying here, some selling occurred, but the buying is still pretty much hitting the same bars here, except these couple of days now. They're slowing down a little bit here. But the selling is also not very aggressive. So if they want to keep this, I would say not really rational market going and getting more people to FOMO in, if they have a different plan later on at like 4,400, they're going to find a way to prop this up. And don't be biased. Oh, it can't go higher because the market, it should do this. No, yeah, there's logic, that we formulate and we think it should do something. Market will never do what you think they should do. You trade the probabilities, not what you think, and predict what they're going to do, right? You trade reactively to your plan, meaning you're looking at it. I will react once it comes to this zone and a level, and I'll go and play my probabilities. You guys just need to slow down a little bit, with the expectations. You can become a successful trader overnight. It takes a lot of effort. a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of frustration, a lot of arguing with your significant other, with your friends and family. You're gonna feel like you're the smartest. You want to show it, but you keep failing and you don't know what to do, and you're rejecting everything that's being helped to you because you want to be right and you want it so bad, which is not a bad trait that you want it so bad. But are you really putting everything, at least that I tell you and preach on education and how to look at it, are you putting it to use? And do you know if you are? Meaning, do you have a log to verify what you're learning matches what you're seeing? Because if it doesn't work, then it's not you, then it's what I'm teaching, right? It doesn't work. So it's really up to you guys to know how to fix it. Market and technicals is the easiest skill set. Can I teach you volume profile within 3 to 5 months? Yes, probably yes, and you'll be really good at it. A lot of people came with EMAs and RSI's knowledge, and I would say they came in with zero knowledge, they came out with a lot of knowledge. You can learn that, but then it takes time to learn the mental side. Okay. On the bigger picture here, I mean, they're progressing well. They're doing a good job creating liquidities. So now if they're able to pop, and you see that they're doing the same trend here, 1, 2, 3, 4 days so far consolidating. So they're here, 1, 2, 3, they popped, 1, 2, 3, 4, then they popped higher. So now you have, 1, 2, 3. So you can expect us to still stay in this range. Doesn't mean we have to break. They can go here, grab more liquidity, create more power for the move. And then once they do it, people are going to be aggressive market buyers. Oh, I don't want to be late. I'm going to buy here. Where, this is the bottom. And they start aggressively buying. And then, of course, then you enter another wall where another set of liquidity is sold. So if you're a businessman and you're selling, wouldn't you do the same thing? You buy peanut butter, you drop the price, you sell it. Then what do you do to maximize profits? You want more money for your peanut butter. What do you do?
Have sale at higher prices.
You say, man, the price is 42.35 now. You will sell because it's going to be initial demand and frenzy, right? They're going to freak out, and then people are like, yeah, do I really need it? No. Okay, well, here's your peanut butter back, right? They sell it back. Then you have to drop the price back to the mean of something, right? Once you drop it there, you're going to create more value. People should be there to buy again because, right, depending on your story, and that's your auction. They come back and buy, and now they're breaking out again. When they come back here, this becomes a natural level for us to look for buying. But if you look here, that this is a start of a larger shelf here. In reality, this is a large HVN here. Inside of it, you have small pockets, right, of liquidity, void, right, where you don't have anything, and then you have shelves like this one that I can't really see at the moment. And you look at this shelf here, it's it's pretty big, right? Compared to all the other HVNs, this is a pretty big one. You have a low liquidity, and this becomes like a large, and then becomes what? What does this profile look like now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 days?
Double distribution.
I would say, yeah, it's double. You could even make a case for triple, right? You have nice, decent gap. It doesn't have to be the same size, but you have a couple of, liquidity, 1, 2, 3. So you have 4 zones, right? And what did we say when you have a double distro day and you break the top of the volume node?
You should be bullish because you're breaking the range.
Especially in this range, if you had a bottom shelf, you're going up now and you're breaking it. This is going to continue the running. They're going to continue because they're maximizing profits. It's not the best market to swing in my opinion, right now. because they could continue this frenzy of just good news is good news, bad news is also good news. So you take your money and, maybe you take your money quicker than usual because the market is giving you a different look. It changed the behavior. And that's where your adaptability as a trader comes in, right? Instead of expecting huge returns on every trade. I mean, Drew the other day told me he had $600 in commissions. And that's pretty crazy. That's a lot of trades.
I think that was also between his like 5 accounts.
But that's still a lot of cash, man. $600 to pay for service a day.
Oh, you're right. It is.
Yeah. When you think about it as an expense, I mean that's a pretty big expense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This is your range for the bottom breakout. So if you're able to break this, I would say the 73, you can catch this Friday PD vol here that we created a tiny little shelf. But break below this really opens up the doors. You get the 43 and then you catch the 29 as well. And you'll see here, I mean, it's going to be a quick dump, but I would slowly close these shorts as we approach these levels. This one, I don't expect to hold as aggressively maybe as this one here. And you could probably find the POC of this range itself. There you go. So it would be somewhere here. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I will trade the afternoon live with you guys tomorrow. My son has a doctor appointment in the morning, so I'll be away.
I'll be
All right.
I'll be out for the first few hours in the morning.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take it easy. Good night.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Shorty.
Shorty.
Night, Shorty.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye.